Hey, Soraya.
Hey, Jeff. Happy 2021.
Yes, happy 2021. It's a crazy day here, crazy week in America.
Woo!
But maybe we maybe we need a little distraction for an hour.
Yes. I want to listen to good music and talk to cool music people. Can you fill that order?
I think I can. Yes, yeah. So we invited Ronnie Barnett back, our good friend, bassist from the Muffs, as a co-host, and one of his favorite band and my favorite band, and I know you've been listening to them a lot. 28th Day. We've actually invited all three original members from 28th Day to come on the show today, and they've accepted our invitation.
That's all you, Jeff. You're the magic man. You make it happen.
Yeah, so this should be fun. So coming up, we have all three members of 28th Day.
You're in for a treat. All right, let's get it started. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a gruviar.
Let's get groovy.
Let's bring him in.
Okay.
Hang on. Gallery. Oh my God.
Yes, a musical introduction. I love this. All right. Well, Soraya, it looks like we've got the entire cast of 28th Day, all three of the original members of the band. So this is very exciting. And for our listeners and you guys here, everybody knows my little story, but I wanted to start off with my little story about my personal introduction to the band, which took place in 1985. Oh my gosh. It was a senior in high school. I was senior in high school, listening to a lot of jangle pop music. REM, 1+2 was one of my favorite bands. The Windbreakers, a bunch of guitar bands, and it made me want to buy a Rickenbacker guitar, which I did. We started a little band, went to high school. My senior civics teacher was interested in our little band, and he kept telling us and the whole class that he was very proud that his daughter had a band. And here I'm thinking, oh gosh, what is this gonna be? I'm imagining some little 8-year-old girl playing like a mini Britney Spears who didn't exist at that time in my mind. But anyways, he told the whole class that he was very proud of his daughter. She had a band called 28th Day. And I, again, my first thought was this has got to be bad. And we had, but
yeah, the name. I thought the same thing when I first heard it.
Well, the interesting thing about the name, which I'll want to ask about. So I ended up buying the record about a week later because it was in the independent section at our record store in Encinitas, California, Lose Records, which I bought almost all of my records from, and everything from that section I ended up liking. I brought it home, put the needle down. I have my version is the European version. So my version starts off with 25 pills. And as soon as I heard the guitar playing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually something that's good. Yeah. And so my 12th grade civics teacher, Rip Manning, was very proud of his daughter, Barbara. And that's what got me into the band. So we had discussions in class actually about the band and about the name. And we as a class came up with the idea that the band name came from a woman's menstrual cycle. So I'm glad that you guys are here to clear this up. So I guess, Cole, would we start with you?
No, Mike, that's all Mike.
Okay.
No,
all right.
Ask Mike about it. Yeah. Mike was in the band before I was, and he was in the band before Cole was.
He started the band.
Okay.
Not the first
all
singer,
right, Mike,
that's for sure.
Can you tell us where this band name came from?
Nothing fancy. It was actually the day of the month.
Oh,
it was the 28th day of the month. Yeah, we were all sitting around going, "Hey, let's start a band. What do we want to call it?" And that's how it started. The actual first name of the band, I still have the kick drum head for the front of it. It was called Youth Serenade. That's what you name a band when you're 17.
You say that.
Yeah, but we realized how that name was juvenile and didn't really work. But that, and then we ended up calling it 28th Day for whatever reason.
And then
I
what
think it was-
happened? What happened to those band members? How did Cole and Barbara come?
Honestly,
aboard?
I have to say I've never even heard that story before, and so
Okay.
and I've kind of been in this band for like 30 years plus or whatever.
Wow.
So
Yeah, it's funny what you remember. I would have remembered it like 2 days after I made that decision, but 30 years on, it cuts fresh. So it was Pete was the original bass player. Pete and I lived on the same floor in the dorms. My parents thought it would be best if I stayed in the dorms my first year in college, which was great because I was a 17-year-old kid with a 21-year-old roommate. So you know how that went. Yeah, it was pretty great. So that's how I met Pete, who he and I were originally just dicking around with music and stuff, and that's kind of how it started. And then it kind of expanded from there. And then Alan and Bix were guitar players. Alan quickly departed. I think Bix.
But when did Katie join? Because I thought she was in the band right at
Oh,
the
that's right.
beginning.
Katie was
first singer.
So she worked at KCSC Radio, a college radio station that Pete and I worked at, and we all ended up
Reality is
working.
contraception.
That's right, our first song. And so, so we asked Katie, the only person that we knew that could possibly want to sing a song as silly as that, to come on board, and write and sing. And she sang that one song and then quickly departed. But yeah, she was the first singer.
She's very beautiful.
Yeah, I'm still in contact with Katie here, now and then through the power of social media, Facebook and stuff. But she's still in the Bay Area, but yeah, she quickly departed as well. But then we brought on Alan and Bix, and then
They were on for a while because it's like the first, 3 or 4 times I saw 28th Day, and me and Barbara were going out at this time. But I was not in the band. But the first number of times I saw them, it was with Alan and Bix were both the other guitar players. And Bix knew Love Circus, and that's kind of how we hooked up with them. And then Bix left, and Alan was there for a little while, and then Alan eventually left. And then that's when I got shoved in to the band.
Yeah, we had some backyard party, and Bix said, "I can't make it," and we asked Cole to play guitar, fill in, because he knew the song.
I think Barbara actually told me to play. Is the way it went. But I was happy to. I was happy to do so.
What college is this?
Chico State.
Chico State.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was Chico State. Yeah. So that's how Cole joined the band. A very unceremonious joining into the band. He kind of just jumped into the backyard party.
But it clicked right away.
It did.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I could literally barely play guitar. I mean, barely.
I could barely play drums.
I don't know about
well,
that.
I mean,
no, that's not true.
Well,
but I can't say that I didn't want to play guitar. I wanted to play bass, so I kind of maneuvered my way into the bass role.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then when Pete, the original bass player, went home for the summer to work or something, because no one ever stayed in Chico in the summers.
I did.
I did.
I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Too poor to go anywhere else.
Yeah, so when Pete left for a summer job, Barbara stepped in, and when Pete came back, he was no longer in the band. I think he found out he was no longer in the band when he saw a flyer up on a telephone pole near his house, because he had thought the band had broken up over the summer. He had left, and he was pissed.
Oh yeah, he was definitely told kind of a la Trump. Like he had Twitter, if we had Twitter back then.
He could have found out way earlier.
Exactly. The flyer for another gig. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Bass playing experiences, though.
Yeah. So it was pretty funny. Well, funny now, but at the time, So he's walking home from class at Chico State and sees a flyer for 28th Day playing at a show in town. And back in Chico was such a small town, a show of any size in Chico was a big deal. And he was rightly pissed.
Did he come to the show and glare at you, Barbara? Did he?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, he helped me because he wrote the bass line 2 pages turn that I play. And at the time, it was my beginning. I was just learning bass. I knew I wanted to be a bass player, and I still feel the same about bass, but I couldn't move my fingers that fast. And so I remember crying a little bit, like, I can't do it. I can't do it and sing at the same time. But then, muscle memory and the left and the right, and it all happened. And then I clicked in, and bass is by far my favorite position to be in if I'm in a band. I don't get many opportunities to play bass, but
Yeah, it was one of those rare things where we were all learning. We were basically all at the same skill level.
Yeah, we really
decent,
were.
but not great.
I was a little better than both of you.
Yeah, you were. I'll admit that.
Sure.
We were almost.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
were almost the Reformation, and this is the.
Oh,
yes.
that's right.
So when this
we had a name for
this
a summer.
infamous summer that Mike is talking about, I think we basically kind of ended the year broken up because things were antagonistic, I would have to say. But me and Barbara were living together, so we had to be with each other. So we were like playing together, and we still wanted to do stuff, and we were having fun with that. And then, Mike pretty quickly was interested in keeping things going. And so, we were like, well, let's do a 3-piece instead of a 4-piece band, which he had been. And I think up until that time, Barbara, you had not really been playing an instrument in the band, and Barbara really wanted to play something, and it became bass, of course. But we were almost the Reformation, and actually your sister or somebody did some like label or kind of like logo stuff for that, and we kind of kicked it around for a little while. But then I think we all just decided that 28 Day was really what we were and where we wanted to be. And so that's what we
I think the instrumental number one came from that summer, from that band.
Because me and Barbara were playing in a band called Hallucinatory Companion during that summer, which was an instrumental band that we formed with a friend of ours, Hugh Brashear, who was a city councilman in Chico later on in life. But he was much older. He was kind of an older hippie guy. And me and Barbara were doing just totally instrumental stuff because we were both kind of like very conflicted about, the passion that 28 Day had. It was very passionate band in a lot of ways. And I think we were just like, let's just do instrumentals. Let's just we'll do something with you. And so we did that a little bit, and that's where instrumental number one came out of. It was something that we had messed around with that summer. And then
because we knew we were going to have a lot of instrumentals, so we decided to start numbering them.
Yes, indeed. But then Mike came back into the fold, and that's when we really made a lot of decisions and really decided, like, let's keep this core together.
Well, you know what was a big influence, though, was that so many people liked it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's because we would draw big crowds, so we kind of thought, well, I guess we better do this then.
Encouragement encouragement is key to being in a band, I think.
It was definitely the right time. It was like the right sound at the right time in the right place, or whatever.
In Chico, especially. I mean, there were some really good bands in Chico. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the small college town. A lot of people, oh my gosh, what could be going on there? But Chico there were some insanely good bands there, that mostly guys that were older than us, for sure.
With names like Road Raisin.
Yeah, Road Raisin and
Oh my God.
Incredible Diamonds. Were
really good.
A great rockabilly band. Spark and Cinder, total hippie band. The Night Nights, incredible ska kind of. I mean, really good. They were all so much better than us. Daily Planet, which Barbara knows really well. They were really close to us for many years. But we were definitely the youngsters, but we were coming from a different outlook than these guys. I mean, they were all so good as musicians, and we really felt that we really weren't. But we had a different vibe, and we had a songwriting vibe that they could not match, even in our early days. There was just something about us that was different in that regard. That I don't know how to explain it, but and they knew it too, and they because they were mostly
I
cover
thought they were
bands.
very encouraging. I felt
Yeah, they were.
encouraged. I
Yeah.
can remember seeing, because this is, my mom was living there too. In a school bus in Chico, and had brought the school bus down from the mountains, and she was friends with all the bands because they're her age, and
Mhm.
she was only 17 years older than I was, so she was quite the partier. And it wasn't like I couldn't go and see those bands. I did with her, but I didn't do the whirly whirl dances with her. Like, I didn't really get into it. I was really obsessed with instruments though. So if I could see a band play, I'd be staring at what kind of pedals they're using and what kind of guitars they've got. And I was obsessed with that for sure. But boy, I knew it wasn't the music for me. And but we haven't mentioned a big kind of like a cornerstone for Chico crazy people like us was the radio station. It was KCSC radio. It was only on the internet. It wasn't even on regular, broad dial or anything. And we were dedicated to it like crazy. It was really important. It sort of structured our fun times, because when school was in session, we were all meeting there for meetings, and we would put on events and all had shows, and really had our own personalities there. That was really important. And that's when I first saw Mike Cloward, because I went there and I noticed his creepers first, and then probably his hair after that.
Yeah.
And I was impressed because he was one of the first real punk rockers I had ever seen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Mike had like the coolest creepers, and he had a few of them. And it's like, I knew they weren't cheap. And it's like, we were so poor. I mean, we were so poor. And it's like, Mike could actually afford to have like a couple different pairs of creepers.
Well, that's where his money went.
Somehow we
Ours
figured
went
it
for,
out. I don't know how
ours
it did.
went other places. Ours was probably being spent on pot and things like that.
Yeah.
But I can say too that Mike gave me some really good advice. Well, advice that I've always followed ever since. But I'm thinking to myself why I would have needed the advice. But it was at a show, I think in the BMU, which is our college, very sterile, yucky room that you go in, and they would put on shows there, and very not that great. I've never been to a BMU show where it was like packed or anything, but we were playing with True West, and Mike just looked at my shoes were the flip-flops, and he's like, "You cannot wear those." I'm like, "But there's no stage. You're on the floor. You're on the ground." And he's like, "Nope. Gotta change those." And that, and that got me going about a little thinking about that, like what your appearance is on stage. Because I
do not remember.
I don't think that I was really thinking about what we look like. It was more about like how do you respond to the audience? Like the audience is either sitting there looking at you at cabos or dancing over on the side, or are they getting wildly drunk? And I mean, you sort of have to feed off the audience, and that was really where my head was. I think all of our heads were. We really thought about what would sound good and what would make people dance, and our set lists were really dynamic. I thought, thinking about people dancing and then resting and then dancing. But it took a while for me to think about what I look like, and and then once you go there, you can never go back. You're like, oh, guys, I can't go out there looking like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that KCSC was crucial. All those records that we would listen to, because we were too poor to purchase records.
Yeah, we could listen to everything there. It was huge.
Yeah, go to the production room at the radio station with a stack of records. It just dropped the needle for hours. It was pretty crucial. We could hear what was going on throughout the country.
That's where we picked up radio. It was that was the thing to do. So.
Well, there were so many good records in that era that were coming out. It was just every week there would be a pile of great new. Yeah. So it was just a great era, right?
Yeah.
And no flip-flops on stage. Good rule, Mike.
But I don't know. Then if you know of Chris Knox, that's the only thing he wears on stage. But
I can't handle the little thing between my toes.
Okay, for most, yeah.
Yeah, for most, there's some royalty that can wear it. Yeah.
Well, I had a question based on something that Cole had mentioned, and it has to do with songwriting. And this is kind of influenced by something that Ronnie brought up recently on one of his posts, where he did a little bit of bragging on Facebook that he did get invited by Greg Kinn to do a songwriting session. And in one of the comments that Ronnie put, he mentioned that for his band, the Muffs, that Kim Shattuck brought in all the songs, wrote all the songs, and they weren't born out of stupid jam sessions or idiotic jam sessions. So I know that some bands will write songs with the band members bringing in songs and people add to it. Or sometimes there are jam sessions and the songs are born out of that. How was the songwriting for 28th Day?
Well, we wrote in songs. I mean, either I was writing a song or Barbara was writing a song.
Or Mike.
Yeah. Or Mike. Yeah, absolutely. And Mike wrote lyrics to a number of songs, especially in the kind of earlier 28th Day period. We brought songs in and worked out, and first, that's why Barbara sings Paige's Turn, because that's the first song I ever brought to the band when I joined. It's actually the first song I ever wrote.
Recorded a version of it with you singing?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, I did a live thing, this kind of streaming thing that they did right when COVID first hit, that I did for the community college here in town. And I did it. I play it all the time. I still play it all the time. For me, it's a good song to like warm up with or whatever. But I was just like, I can't sing. I'm not gonna do it. And so that's why Barbara sings Paige's Turn, because like that was the first one. And then I think after that it was I think Barbara was just like, you need to sing, the songs you bring in. And I never felt that comfortable with my vocals, especially with 28th Day, honestly, to tell you the truth. I think I'm better now than I was then, for sure. Singing wise, I did, a capo would have helped so much. And I just never even used one until like 8 years ago. So it was a really stupid thing, but I'm really glad that Barbara sings that song, because I mean, her vocals on that song are insane, and they're,
Yeah, I kind of remember, now that I'm thinking about it, like Cole would come in a lot less structured and go, I have this part and this part and this part. And I always remember Barbara would go, okay, here's how it goes. This is the start, this is the middle, this is where I want the lead. Cole, do a lead here and stuff. She was much more structured, and I think the combination of the two, like Cole kind of being less structured, kind of helped us grow into playing as a band, because we kind of like figured out parts together, kind of on like on a roller coaster, kind of just figured it out. And then Barbara helped us think about structure and stuff, because you don't really, I mean, we were really learning how to play.
I was writing songs since I was, I think, 14 or something, as I have a book with all those songs in them, and they're, I go through periods of hating everything in there and then going, oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
And then going, oh my God. But it's like, I didn't know what love was. I really didn't understand. And I certainly couldn't put into words the experiences I had already in the beginning. But after a while, I started realizing you can put an event or an experience or feeling into a song, and it lives forever that way. And I feel, I think I've always had like a little bit of that, where I know what a song is, and like I remember telling Cole a lot about this, like because we both love the Who, but I remember the day my mom came home, opened up this record, peeled off the cover, this plastic, put it on the vinyl player, and then immediately walked over to me. I'm sitting down. I'm like, I don't know, 3 years old or something. And she drops the record cover in my lap. And she says, this is a story. And so I'm like, okay. So I picked that up. I'm like, all right, this whole thing is a story from the beginning to end, trying to make sense out of it and trying to make the artwork make sense. You know, that was the struggle for me, because I was like, well, what is all this crap on here? But the idea that a record makes sense and that there's a story and then there's like a beginning and an end and there's some kind of fundamental reason to it being there. You know, yeah, for sure. I knew I was going to be a songwriter from the beginning, but it was my first chance to try it out. Yeah, it was great.
Were you playing guitar at that?
Yeah,
You know, the
I was
early
playing guitar, so
song?
that's why it was frustrating,
Okay.
because I knew I was better than Alan and Bix, and they would have both said the same. Like I could strum and play rhythm and knew more chords than they did, but that wasn't what my job was. I was there to replace Katie, and so there was already, you know, songs written that I was learning, and we had this adorable, was blissful, this tiny little garage that Mike had
My
arranged
backyard, actually. Yep.
with someone. He had
Yeah.
arranged with someone, I don't remember, but just going there and the smell of it, and it was so small, and I loved it so much. It was just magical.
Yeah.
Even before we did anything with it, but it was beautiful. I don't know if you can replace that kind of magic when you first start, you know, when it probably, that's what everything that, you know, any creative or interesting thing you do, the first time you do it is just, you know, you're cutting into this thing that you're feeling it and smelling it, and like everything is so tactile at that point, and it's just, you know, easy to remember. But yeah, 28 Day was my everything. I mean, it became, there was nothing more important than 28 Day. And that's when I stopped buying textbooks to class, and I didn't really care about class at all. And when we recorded our first record, I showed up with, you know, to class, you know, after a few days of being absent, with the tape wrapped around my lip, you know, my arms and my neck, the excess tape that was thrown on the floor. I was like, I am wearing this. That's how special it was, our first time.
All right, Soraya, you're probably not liking how this sounds since you're a college professor. Hearing that,
Who was it?
No, Barbara's the sort of that I like get drawn to. I want to know more about their story. Trust me. Yeah.
Yeah, the best part about that rehearsal spot, I'm remembering, it was small and it was dank, of course, but it had carpet on the ground, and we thought the carpet was on top of cement until it first rained. Yeah, it was on dirt, and so it got wet underneath that carpet, and we could not touch each other or touch anything, or we'd get shocked. The whole room was locked.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm sure the vocals were going through a guitar amplifier too.
Yeah.
There was definitely no PA or anything like that.
But it sounded very fun.
The vocal,
very fun.
Wow. Yeah. God, we're lucky you survived.
I mean, that
we would not have this record.
It was a shed. It was not a building. It was a shed.
Right.
And it was literally in my backyard. Where 28 Day did their very first show ever was in that house.
It was not a 2-car garage.
No, it was not.
It was like a one.
It was a two lawnmower garage is what it was.
Right. A place where you store shovels and stuff. Yeah.
Can we talk about the record?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, you mentioned playing with True West. Now did Russ, was he kind of the guy who discovered you in a way?
Yeah, that same show Mike was talking about at the student center at Chico, we opened for True West. And we come a long way in like a year. I mean, a long way, musicianship wise. I mean, we rehearsed all the time, but you know the story. You know, and we were all getting better, and that was at a point where we were really, you know, I was starting to play slide guitar and stuff at that point in time. We were doing some, you know, we were just more like sonic and, you know, big, and Russ took notice, and like he talked to us pretty much immediately and was like, are you guys recording? Do you want to record?
I'm pretty sure, Cole, that Mike had a hand in that, though.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Obviously,
because I didn't know who Russ Tolman was. And you know, because even when we were recording, he and I got in a little tiff, and I was like kind of stupid and said, how many songs have you written, after him not letting me you might think.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, well, all of them.
I mean, Mike was certainly way more in tune with like really what was going on in the scene and everything like that, and kind of like looking to our future and what we could do much more than me and Barbara were, because we were just.
I would have never gone there. Well, actually, no, I would have gone there, but I probably would have taken. I mean, I guess my years were later, and when I started to really wake up to how you can use music to, go further in life, I guess. But certainly not at that time. Boy, in Chico, all I was interested in was, well.
Drinking beer, hanging out.
Yeah, and staying. Me and Cole, I was in love with him the whole time. So that was a really interesting era, because we were treating each other so badly, then so great, then so badly. So,
Yeah.
It was a learning process for sure.
Well, we were super lucky because we were the only band that could play with all of the Paisley underground bands that came through Chico. So when you think about the Long Riders, we played with them twice. We played with like the 16 Tambourines tour, 3 o'clock, the Rain Parade.
The same day twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were able to play with all these bands and start networking and stuff, and that's how we kind of met everybody. And then
Thin White Rope.
Thin White Rope.
Yeah, Thin White Rope.
Wasn't there a band If Then Why?
Yeah, that was our first Sacramento show. Was with those guys from San Francisco. They were post-punk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we were really lucky. We met a lot of people early on in the scene. And I was aware of True West because of their Lucifer Sam 7-inch, which was killer. And then I actually wrote the band and sent a demo tape to Gavin, their lead singer, who had been evicted, and it went to an address that he no longer lived at and stuff. And so when I started the conversation with Russ, it was completely new, and yeah, it was pretty cool because Gavin had no idea who we were. It's like, hey, did you get our tape? He goes, what are you talking about?
I mean, Russ was the guy to talk to anyway, so I mean, for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Russ was the mover.
So Russ says we need to make a record at this point.
Yeah.
Is that that was his label, right? Through Enigma.
Bring Out Your Dead.
Bring Out Your Dead was Russ. I don't know what else came out on that label besides maybe a Russ record, but was there anything else besides you?
I don't believe so. Yeah, it was Russ and Connie. But yeah, Russ came up a couple times and watched us rehearse, and it helped a ton because he was like, well, take this part out, take this part out. So all our songs went from like 5 minutes to 3 minutes. And so everything just got like way shorter. We go, wow, this makes a lot more sense. And then, our songwriting Barbara and Cole songwriting got like much more concise and tighter. And that's where I think we kind of got a lot better with those early meetings with Russ showing up at the rehearsals and, kind of just giving us some tips. I mean, we were so isolated in Chico.
Yeah.
I think everyone was at that time, though, in a way, because there were no cell phones or internet or nothing like that. And I mean, we were isolated by miles as well. But boy, we, the only things you can know about, I mean, we were lucky to have our pulse on the radio station because that's where things came in. But I mean, in many ways, Mike, I wouldn't have known until later about things if I hadn't been introduced to it by you. First time I ever heard Gun Club or the Smiths or whatever, you were totally like, you were very much interested in what was new. I can tell you that I wasn't at all going there. I was just more interested in, I think I was more interested in the writing and the instrument and the sound. I don't think I really cared too much about what was going out there in the background as much.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, it's an interesting, I was thinking about this interview before, earlier in the day and stuff, and just thinking of trying to put my head where I was at that time, and just being the drummer guy in the back, and then watching these two great songwriters continue to write a lot of songs. You get super excited, then you want to propel. I think it started out kind of innocent, like, hey, we're playing songs that people could dance to, and we're drinking beers and having a good time. It's something to do in a small town in between college classes and college radio shows and stuff. Then all of a sudden it starts picking up steam, and all of a sudden you find yourself like, how far can we actually take this? So, I mean, I think one of my best memories from that time was watching Barbara and Cole develop, and these two songwriters write these great songs together. It was a pretty amazing experience.
There's no doubt. There's something when I work with Cole, there's definitely something, definitely.
Yeah.
So there was a chemistry, not only physically, but a musical chemistry between the two of you as well. Obviously.
Oh, that's yeah. The other side, the sexual side is long gone, but we're very. But the work, the creative side, it's like a really strong. I don't know, just a really strong energy. I could say. You know, it's not the only one that I've had or Cole's had, or, you know, maybe Mike has worked with other bands too, you know, with his career. But I think that there was something, and when we would do reunions, it was there already. It was still there. So, yeah, it's a shame, you know, when people live really far away and things kind of die off. But yeah, I think when he and I were together, it was kind of one of those lodestones. There's some magnetic energy happening that, you know, you can turn my rock around and I won't feel the same kinetic energy with somebody else.
So getting back to the record, did you guys pick the songs or did you pick them out? You said Russ helped with the kind of arranging stuff. Did he help? You know, was it supposed to be 7 songs? I know there's a longer version
more at the time. We really did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we did. Okay, we did. But it was kind of the earlier 28 Day stuff, which was more. Look, I mean, there's a whole tape which I think should be a release called 28 Songs About 28 Day. Mike, is that the cassette release you did?
Yeah. It's
and it's all the early stuff, which is much more kind of punk rock, much rawer. There's some amazing on that tape. I mean, amazing.
Wow.
American Fast Cars, which probably nobody has heard, but like.
No.
Yeah. Chances Become Electric. That was a
song ever. It's so good. So anyways, we had we had changed. We had moved on to a different thing, and we were a different band for sure.
Yeah, there was like Mach 1 and Mach 2. And I think when we started, once we started rehearsing with Russ, we realized that some of the earlier stuff just wasn't going to make the transition. So it was really funny. I will remember, you know, recording. It was really funny. We were such newbies and stuff. We went into the studio. We had 2 days in the studio. We're going, okay, on day 1, we're going to record these 3 songs. And on day 2, we're going to record these 3 songs. We didn't even know we were supposed to track everything in order. Or, you know, it was so crazy. But yeah, I remember coming back from those sessions and playing those tapes to our friends at the house on Olander and people going, yeah, who did you hire to play your instruments? Yeah. And that's how much we progressed. I mean, we had the equipment set up in the living room. Barbara and Cole lived in the basement. I lived upstairs, and in the middle of the house was just all our equipment. And I don't know how the neighbors stood it because we were pretty shitty.
And we recorded with stuff going up. I think we were trying to isolate. So wires.
Yeah, my drums were in my bedroom upstairs.
I mean, it was because we did a whole cassette release, like a demo, a 4-song cassette release of 28 Day material before the record came out that you could actually buy in cheap. Mm-hmm. And so it came with a little lyric sheet and the cassette and the whole thing. But there's like the seminal versions of Pages Turn and 25 Pills and I'm Only Asking You and stuff like that are on that tape for sure, which is pretty awesome. Wow. Yeah.
I'll have to dig it up.
So where did the extra tracks come in for the version that I have, the European version?
Well, so we did that album, and then it was going to come out in Europe, and so they needed more.
My 21st birthday.
Yeah, they didn't release EPs in Europe, I guess. I don't know what the story was. But
they sure do, but there was some kind of thing.
Yeah, and
wanted a full-length record.
Yeah, and you have to go back in the studio and do a full-length record. So we went back. That's when we went into Army Street Studios and did 4
Dead Center
songs, Dead Center, and a few other things. And we re-recorded Pages Turn, but then we ended up going with the original version of Pages Turn that was done with Russ in Davis. And we kept that one. We like the spunkiness of it, kind of. It's very different, really, if you listen to the 2 versions. The second version is on the new Strum and Thrum thing. Which I really like. I mean, I like that second version a lot. Barbara's vocals are it's so weird. You can totally see, I don't know, what's the difference in time there? A year, maybe at the most? But it's so completely different, emotionally. between those two versions of that song, which to me, I really, really like that difference. I just love it.
Yeah, Tom Allen mixed
Yeah,
that. I remember
Tom
that.
Allen,
Ah,
Yeah, it was-
great
yeah, it was
mixer.
a
I
good
mean,
deal.
he had done a bunch of stuff, of course, with American Music Club and
Mhm.
Midgets and like a
Flying
really
Color.
cool stuff.
Flying Color, yes.
Yeah, Flying Color.
Yeah, both versions
Yeah.
are on the CD here, right?
Yeah.
If I remember
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, some of those, some of the live tracks on the rehearsal on that CD, I think, are where we were heading.
I mean, we were totally going in a different direction at the time he broke up.
Going in.
So much better. I mean, it's,
Yeah. Can we talk about Enigma Records for a second? Did you feel you feel like they were doing a good job? I mean, they released so many records back at that time. I mean, do you think maybe you were lost in the shuffle a little bit, or
Well,
you
I
know,
think,
or did the EP thing
I
work
mean,
against you in a way? You know, like.
well, yeah, I think a couple things. I mean, looking back on it, we didn't know what was good, right or wrong, or good or bad. I think that we did get a little lost in the shuffle. Being isolated in Chico, where a lot of things weren't going on. Like we weren't like in San Francisco or Los Angeles. We didn't really network with Enigma. We left a lot of it in Russ's
We
hands.
just had that one
because it was
show
kind
with
of
the
his-
Dead Milkmen and
yeah.
at Raji's
Plastic Land. Was it
Ah.
Plastic Land?
and
Ooh.
Plastic Land, but I know it was Dead Milkmen.
It was so
as well.
fucking great. That Plastic Land album, I keep looking for it. I cannot find it. It is one of the greatest records.
I'll look for it for you. It's the LA thing.
I have an extra one, Cole.
Yeah.
I swear.
Are you serious?
I'll send you the plastic.
It's
one
so
right
good.
I agree. I love that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good show at Raji's. I barely remember. Then we played San Diego. I
Yeah,
think,
we
on the
did.
Same.
What was it? Somebody was
Right.
sick. Somebody couldn't sing. Was it Barbara?
No, that would be you.
That was me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't hungover. I was sick. I was actually sick, and I lost
Yeah.
my kind of voice. And I think Barbara sang everything for that show in San Diego, which was kind of crazy because that's where her dad was from and stuff. I'm sure her parents were at that show.
Right.
Her dad and his wife at the time.
So did you play? Was that the extent of playing after the record came out? I mean, did you get
No.
offered any
When we went
tours?
north, it was more fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
We did
we did
Seattle and
Northwest
Corvallis.
Seattle and Portland.
with Flying Color.
Oh, yeah.
All the Pacific Northwest times were
Yeah.
really fun. And we got to play with the first show of Screaming Trees. They had never played before, and
Yeah.
well, I don't know who played in what order, but it was The Beat Happening and Screaming Trees and 28th Day. And then when we played in
Wow.
Corvallis, always there'd be just the biggest crowds ever. We'd be like,
Yeah.
whoa. We would have a nice crowd at our place, in Chico, but not like that.
I mean, I think
And I remember getting so scared and saying to myself, just look at the set list like a map. Just think of it like a map. Okay, you have this song, okay, go through that. Then you have the next song, go through that, because I was so nervous.
Yeah, the Corvallis show, it was upstairs in an
Yeah.
Oddfellows hall. And the stage was
Wow.
4 blocks, those risers, and they had pushed them together, and it was bouncing
wow.
because the floor was bouncing, and the square started moving apart and stuff. So everything, and my drums were in the middle of and so also this gap was opening up, and my kick pedal was, it was pretty cool. Barbara's like, everyone take one step back.
I mean, I talked to people years later, like Pete Krebs and like a lot of these Portland people that like years later when I was playing in the Snowman in the 90s were like, I was at that show at the Oddfellows Hall, and that was like one of the shows I really remember from that period of time as being, it was insane. It was fucking great. And we were like, it was a really, really good show for us. I think there's a tape of that somewhere, possibly.
Do you remember getting kicked out of the Oddfellows Hall because you and I went in and were looking at all this stuff, and then this guy came out and was like freaking out because there was a woman and neither of us were Oddfellows?
And Russ Coleman went on that tour with us. And he mixed
right.
that show.
Oh.
Right? Because
Yeah, I believe so.
I remember
so.
driving back over Grants Pass, and it was like a blizzard, and we were all just freaking out. We thought we were going to die on the way home, and then we didn't.
And then we did it. End of story.
That Northwest tour though was really fun. Walkabouts, Flying Color.
Yeah,
It was really, we had some really good shows, and we changed like who was the headliner for every show. I think we had 3 shows. I think we were Olympia,
Portland,
somewhere else.
Seattle.
We ended up in Seattle.
No, Corvallis.
Yeah.
Corvallis.
Or
Yeah.
Corvallis.
We
And
played Portland, too. We
we
played
were
the
the headliners in Seattle, I guess.
Yeah. Didn't
So
play
we
the
busted
Satirical?
out like It's
remember.
All Too Much. We did a cover of the Beatles' It's All Too Much with like alternative tunings and like all that crazy stuff. And it's really kind of where we were going. And I think a lot of, we were kind of giving up that kind of the Paisley Underground kind of thing that we had been really kind of attached to. I think we were all kind of moving in this other direction, which was much more post-punk and kind of
A little darker.
for sure, and more power and louder and more powerful for sure.
So was there any thought of recording a follow-up record?
We were on our way. There's a bunch of stuff on the one CD that's demo tapes for what we would have done for the second record, which I really wish we had done.
Well,
I think we
let's
all
get to
did,
it.
and it just didn't happen. Yeah, I'm ready. I got 20 years with
Yeah,
it.
I'm ready.
Well, in a way, the sunbirds were
I know. What?
Easy.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
It sounds like
pull it off,
story
but I
here.
couldn't do it. The sunbirds were kind of doing the material for the second record, like
Yes,
in a
but
way.
we were doing it also. Well,
Wait.
I mean, me and Barbara were having some.
No, I had left. I moved to San Francisco, and
Nice.
sunbirds started right up. There was like hardly a hiccup,
Ah,
and so I was
So-
very
so-
jealous. I was
So-
like, oh. And then
So-
Cole went on
Cole might
tour,
have had something
and
on the side
he was
here,
doing
right?
all sorts of stuff. I felt like I was in a slump for a while there, but I was in San
And then you
Francisco,
released
and-
Scissors, which is like one of the greatest records in like indie rock history. So
Agreed.
absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So you two breaking up kind of was the end of the band.
it was a
Yeah.
very tough period.
no, because we went on a
No,
little
we went
longer.
for like a year.
Okay.
Yes.
We were broken up, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
No,
Musically, it was great. Otherwise, it was like really fucked. I mean,
It was sweet, actually. It was sweet. Once we were really broken up, I think we were a lot nicer to each other.
I mean,
Ronnie,
Yeah.
I think you can relate
Right.
to this, right, Ronnie?
No, I was gonna say in my band, I formed. Me and Kim were a couple when we formed our band, and we broke up probably about 2 years into the band. But we had a sit down, and we're like, look, the band's doing okay. We got to make a conscious effort to be friends and make this work. And yeah, I can't say that it wasn't difficult for people in the van sometimes, but we it saved our friendship, and I can see that with you too as well.
yeah, I
It
remember.
took a little
Yeah,
while, but
Yeah.
although it really didn't. I mean, me and Barbara were really, man, there were some tough times there, but we really
Mhm.
started communicating with each other pretty quickly after we had really broken up. I mean, we still have a connection. We still do. We have a connection for sure.
That's I guess you can't really break it, but
Yeah.
it's nothing for our married partners to worry about.
Right.
Yeah, it was awkward for me in parts and times and stuff, but
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
there
that
was.
was the problem, really. I mean, it was that it all hinged on if I could handle it or not. I think
Mhm.
that was the problem, and yeah. I mean, I'm surprised I lived through it actually,
Yeah.
but I think that it was on and off. I really do feel that you guys were always willing, as long as I could mentally handle it. So we were able to go for a while, and then part of the problem is being so far away, and
Right.
and then I just fell into the groups that I met in San Francisco, and Cole had already really started up something pretty hot with Mike and his brother and things like that. It just, things happen. The time passes and you fill it up, and you really are. It depends on who you're around. It has to be a proximity, or else you don't get a lot of productivity. That's what I think, at least back then.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it now in hindsight, all the years ago, I should have probably followed Barbara pretty quickly after she left. I think, Chico's one of those places that if you don't leave, you're there, or it swallows you up and you find yourself being like, stupid and stuff. So yeah, I admire Barbara for having the gumption to just to pick her shit up and go. I probably should have done it way sooner than I did. So, but yeah, I mean, it's funny how that all kind of, I mean, I'm glad I stayed in the way because I was able to do some things, start like a label and other things and find myself a little bit, through trial and error. But yeah, I should have left way sooner than I did.
In many ways, Mike, you always worked harder than I ever did.
Both of us.
Whatever happened to my life and my career, I don't know if I ever put as much effort into it as you have. And so you deserve all the good that's happening to you now. And I'm proud of you for being able to make that antagonist or the protagonist into an antagonist that we are all so proud of,
As I turn red.
No, it's just a really tough thing to go through, to have those kind of emotions so raw. But I'm a big fan of reading rock biographies.
Me too.
And lately I have been doing a Big Star, like every book on Big Star, and it is just so horrible that I like, that's what happens. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just ordered a book about Buffalo Springfield.
I would love to read it after you.
There, and I love them so much. I mean, they may be my favorite band from that period. I've been listening to them a lot lately. One of the first songs I ever remember hearing on the radio, like I must have been 4 or 5, was For What It's Worth. And that song still sticks with me.
So good.
And it's still fucking, I mean,
Let's
they're
do
all
a cover of it.
Incredible. And like, here it is, I know they had issues. I mean, you're young, man. It's like, think crazy. It's like,
Well, what we thought was important back then is not important now at all. And like, when you think about it, it's like, God, it was like, we're so fixated on what seems like so small, but when it's your entire life and you're so young and your whole identity is wrapped up in this thing. And, I think your decision-making process is a little bit like blurry.
Well, you're not fully developed here yet, and that's for sure. And then secondly, I am so glad I'm not a mom or a dad.
Yeah.
So glad.
Don't say that in front of Jeff.
But my kids are both maybe gay, and they both are great musicians. So
I know, they're beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah. I was the only
Jeff has
non-breeder
20 kids, you guys.
20 kids. All right, Jeff. Cool.
Jeff has 20 kids. Yeah. Just to let you know.
20 grandkids, only 6 kids. Come on.
Okay. Wow.
That's good though. Damn.
Yeah. It's a
How about
rarity
the
these days.
CD version, the complete recordings? How did this come about after the band had broken up? Who made this happen?
I can tell you a couple stories that I think you're dying to hear about that record, and I've got some juicy ones for you, Jeff.
Here it comes.
Bring it on, Barbara. Bring it
There's
on.
an extra song that was never supposed to come out ever, and I was kind of talked into recording it with the band because we did it, but I learned that I hated the song. It's just really still hate the song. It's a terrible song. I'll give it, songwriting credit to anyone who wants it because I don't care about this song. It's kind of like a bastard child I will never recognize. But it was a song that we were able to play, and we did it as a sound check in this basement with Russ Tolman under the guise that it will never, ever be used. In fact, I didn't even know it was recorded. Like I thought we were just sound checking. But you sound check on tape. So there you go. But sure enough, Life Story appears on the extended version, which is a song that, again, I'm not that proud of.
Always the last to know. I'm the editor of my life
And then another funny story to tell you is that I remember how my jaw, for sure Cole's jaw dropped. I think maybe Mike's jaw dropped, but he might have been already pretty sure he knew what was going to happen. But I remember arguing a lot with Russ Tolman. Like, I just didn't get along with him right away. Let's put it that way. And we're friends now, though. You know, we're like, I love his wife, Kim Tolman, and and they love my husband. So we do a lot of like couples things back in the old days, pre-COVID. But anyway, the point is that back then I didn't trust him, and I wasn't so sure of his motives, and I didn't think he really had the taste in music that I did, and etc. You know, those kind of things that were probably true. And we were recording a song, and he wanted to take a chunk out of it, and it was Paige's turn, and we had like, you know, we'd already sort of broken some of our songs apart and made them shorter for him in practice, but yet here was Paige's turn, our most best song, and he wanted to just cut out the lead up to the lead, and he put the tape on and he grabbed the knife and he just sliced it. And I just remember Cole and me just like you just killed something, you know, like it was pretty much our first experience of somebody doing a really good job at the editing, because sure enough, he fixed it and then he played it and it was better, and we played it like that afterwards. But boy, that was a shocker. But he was really into editing songs down, which you know, I can understand. We were kind of from that world where you make a song go as long as possible because, you know, you have to play for hours.
Right.
I mean,
So there's a couple stories for you.
Mixing that, I think we mixed a lot of those songs without Barbara. I think it was me and Mike and Russ.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with that story.
Yeah,
either.
and then we came back, and I was like, here's the final mixes, and I thought they were fantastic. And Barbara was like, what the fuck is this?
It's super reverby. Like, it's really, it's like putting 1985 all over it.
And it was super guitar-y. There was like 4 guitar tracks on every song. And we have one guitarist in the band at that point. And so for me, I was like, this is great. And like Barbara was like, what the hell is this?
Russ
She was
Tolman's
totally
fired.
right at the time, of course.
Russ Tolman's fired.
That's the thing. You make these decisions when you're the guitarist in the band and you're the only guitarist in the band.
It's hard. It's hard because there is that beautiful. It's like a drug being in a recording studio, and just, you know, if you're a musician and love doing that kind of stuff, it is so beautiful. It's something I haven't tasted in a long time. We're talking about drugs. I mean, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I think that there were a lot of tensions with him, you know, with Russ, and I think maybe that might have added to the benefit of the record. I'm not sure, but that's for sure the reason for the scream. And I don't even want to tell this story because I've already told it. Which one of you want to say it?
I'll tell it. So yeah, I mean, we were doing this is the first 8-track version of the 20th Day record in Davis that we were recording, and we were doing Burnside, which
I think it was Davis, darling. I think it was in San Francisco and some weird.
No, because we did not do Burnside in San Francisco. We just did it in Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's that scream that's partway through the song. And Barbara and Russ were definitely at loggerheads about something, and he was
about the bass line.
Yeah, and like, you need to do a scream in here or whatever. She's doing the vocals, and she fucking ripped that scream out. And I was in the studio, I was in the booth with Russ, and he just like had to pull off his headphones. And it was like, where did that come from? And it's still in the song. Because it's
Yeah, my blood is still curdled from that scream. Yeah, it's
I did the scream live, but it was no plan. There was no plan for that. And
no, there was not.
I definitely was looking at him when I screamed. Like I watched him pull those headphones off. I was like, good, feel it. Because
it's
I wanted to play this really good. I wanted to play this chord, a bass chord. And he was like, minimalist, go minimal, which I'm sure he was right. But I wanted to do this like murky chord that would do the beat. And I figured since I wrote the song, I was able to choose that. But yeah, there definitely, I became a little more aggressive after that. Being able to tell people like, oh, hold on, like I get to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and the CD, and then the full-length CD that Jeff has, he was asking, I mean, how did that, I don't remember how that came together, like all the extra tracks and stuff. Was that Russ's idea?
Are you talking about the European version that had extra tracks?
The expanded
the
compact disc.
complete.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it Pat Thomas?
Not that other fucked up one that came out before that one.
No. Yeah, Pat Thomas was part of that, right? And Pat Thomas, Russ and stuff. I did.
Yeah.
Barbara, did you have?
Yeah, it says compiled
Are you
by
talking about the Brown record?
Not the,
No.
No,
we're
the
talking about
CD.
Pat,
complete
Pat
one.
wrote the liner notes for that one, so I think.
Want me to go grab it? Because that's not the record what they're showing.
It says compiled by Pat. Pat's never afraid to take a credit.
No,
Let's
he's-
face it.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about the Brown record, the 28th Day, the first one that didn't have the
Yeah.
cover on it.
That,
Oh yeah,
that
was
was
on
Skyclad,
Sky.
right? I think.
Yeah, Skyclad. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a Russ thing. That's
That
where
was
Russ
kind
and
of
I were
done. Yeah, that was
loggerheads.
Russ trying to grab a couple dollars. I have to say, I think, but
Yeah.
That was the first time it came out with extra tracks.
I think we really got proactively, especially Barbara. Like, dude, you need to give us the rights to our music back after that one, and that happened eventually. Even though I have them? Are they in a box somewhere? The rights to my music? I don't really give a fuck anymore, honestly. But
Well, hold on to
Yeah.
them because everybody's selling them later in age.
Yeah.
Fogarty just sold his today.
yeah, good for him. I'm sure they're worth a lot more than mine, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, Barbara, I think it was it Russ and Pat decided to do the complete, put all those songs together for that compact disc. I know that Pat did the liner notes, but I don't remember how it came
well,
together.
Barbara did a little essay in there too, which is beautiful. I think. I quote Barbara's her little thing that she wrote in that CD. About the plane stopped being fun, or I don't know. It's at the very end of her little essay in there. That's in there, or whatever.
And I don't think that's the Skyclad one.
No, that's not the
No.
Skyclad one. That's the one they've been showing. I think it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
the one on Interstate, the one on Pat and Russ's
Yes,
label.
it
Yeah,
totally
Interstate.
explains everything. I mean, to me, it's like it's the greatest thing that's ever been written about this band in a way. We are still all really good friends. We love each other.
No,
I'd
that's
play with
really
these
apparent
people in
here.
a second
Yeah.
if I could, but it's time and miles is crazy.
Cole, how come you live where there's hurricanes?
I mean, because my ex-wife made me move here. I want to live in Chico is where I want to live, honestly. And so one of these days I'll get back there. Gina applied for a job there, actually.
I'm thinking about getting a place in Paradise because the places are pretty cheap right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can set up a teepee there somewhere.
Yeah, amongst the ruins. Yeah, that's coming back. That's a good thing.
I'll be there soon. I'm telling you that, Barbara. So if you want to come up to Chico,
Yeah,
I'll figure out a way.
Nice.
And Mike,
man. I'm gonna.
Okay, so reunion record.
Yeah,
we can count
for
on a
sure.
reunion record,
Mhm.
and then also a box set with these old cassettes,
Uh-huh.
the demos, the live. Reissue this on there.
Ronnie, I
28th
really
day
I
box
love
set.
that you're excited about that, but honestly, do you know how many people are our age?
I know it's dwindling. I know it's dwindling. I know.
Well,
Yeah.
Ronnie can produce, and herd the cats, and then we'll do the reunion record. I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all ready to go. I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see Barbara chiming in any affirmative.
Yeah, as long as I can play bass.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm 4.5 hours from Los Angeles, so let's do
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
So I've got this on recording, so it's official now. So definitely.
So I'll tell you what, I would love to record with these guys right now. I've got 20 years worth of fucking shit sitting in my house right now. And I'm like having my kids play on now because they're like old enough to do it.
Yeah.
Cole Marquis family band. I'm liking it.
I figure like, why not just call it 28th day and just like add my children into it? Because why not? And so anyways.
Whoa, I think you're gonna get sued, buddy.
Yeah. Got to go with 29th
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, 29th day.
No, but I would ask Mike and Barbara to be on it too, so it would all be like,
Yeah, that's true.
family.
Yeah. Perfect.
Totally.
I'll
different.
play tambourine.
I did want to mention this compilation that Cole brought up, and it's the Strum and Thrum, the Jangle record, which is probably my favorite release of the year.
Mine too.
All these songs are amazing, but it includes this 28th Day, the alternate version of Page's Turn. Did somebody approach the band and ask if that song could be included in the compilation?
Yeah, whoever put it together, Gabrielle. I think they've gone through some changes. I think since they started that, but I got a random email out of the blue about wanting to include us on that record, and I'm very excited about that. I do feel like there's a real lack of recognition of that era in American music right now. It's like, hardcore has its thing, which, even then they had their thing. Back then, it was just much more, a kind of a scene nationwide that kind of helped all those bands as they were touring and this and that. Whereas the bands that we were from and that scene that we were from just didn't. It was like catch as catch can. And that went for a long time, even through like my later band period in the 80s. But
I think what's going on is power pop never gets, jingle jangle, power pop, that does not never gets enough attention. So take a look at Dwight Twilley and the DBs and Kurt Soul.
the DBs, why the DBs aren't like a huge,
Big Star.
Yeah. And so, they approached me.
Raspberries.
Let's do it. And I talked to Barbara and Mike about that. And
The Shoes.
very excited.
Yeah, shoes are awesome.
The record.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. Is like when I was looking, I have all of those bands on vinyl, and I kind of forgot that I did. But to see it all in one place was it just all kind of clicked, and it's an amazing book. That I agree with you, Jeff. It's like probably my favorite release of the year. I know that 20 Days on it, but still, just as a record, like the orange vinyl and the 80-page booklet and stuff, it's amazing. But what's interesting about that, and what you realize, is that every one of those bands in that compilation were like the biggest band in their scene, regardless of size of city. Like 1+2, those types of bands were like the biggest band in this, and they kind of held their scene down. And then behind them were all the kids that were seeing them play, and the bands that they kind of helped nurture and bring up at the same time. And it's really funny. It was like, so the pre-internet, and when people used to write letters, and you have to dial up numbers 100 times before you got an answer, and I don't know how. I think with just a little bit better of a communication apparatus, I think that whole scene would have probably coalesced a lot quicker and easier. So bands like 1+2 and 20, if they would have made a connection, or or like Barbara mentioned, the Shoes, or those types, we would have all been able to connect maybe a little bit faster. But yeah, it's just
the thing
amazing.
That compilation, I looked at the whole thing, and it's like, I didn't know hardly any of those bands on that compilation.
Me neither.
We never played with them. The only ones I really knew were like, I knew Salem 66 because I played their stuff on the radio.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands.
Gray because of Pat.
Right.
And like most of them, I'm like, who the hell are these bands?
Oh, Windbreakers we loved, and and the DBs, and
Yeah.
and Mitch Easter we adored, and
Yeah, DBs aren't on there though. I mean, it's it's a bunch of weird bands from every. You know.
I like that about the compilation, that it doesn't have like a DBs or the bigger known bands. You know what I mean? It's really well done.
It is.
And, and the booklet is a book. Let's face it. It took me like 3 days to read that thing.
Hey, you guys, did I say anything that you didn't like on that? Because I was like, Barbara, are you okay with everything? Or
you did great. I refused to be a part of it in a way because I was like, I kept sending it over to you. Like they got a hold of me first, and when I found out they wanted to do Page's Turn, I was like, that isn't actually my song. Here you go. And then at that point on, I was, I didn't do anything for it. So you did a fine job of representing us. Yes, I think I was just in one of those modes where there were a few too many things going on at once, and I just couldn't handle it. I knew I was, that sounded like something I would have needed to put some real thought into, and I didn't have the time for it.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you.
Good job, Cole.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but I remember playing all those bands on college radio and picking up some of those records that we had a very good tower of records in Chico.
Yeah, we did.
Which and stuff, and they were pretty attuned to what was going on. Because like a lot of people that worked at the college radio station worked at Tower Records, and they would bring those records in. I mean, I remember buying like the Rain Parade record and all of that the day it came out, kind of thing. I mean, they were that hit. So it was very, very charmed period of time in terms of finding records and the newest thing. I remember when we got the first Rain Parade record, we were practicing in Steve's bedroom, I think, Cole's brother's bedroom over there.
Yeah,
it was like and it was a big garage bedroom, and we sat there and listened to that record like over and over for a number of hours.
Amazing.
Like, fuck.
That's an amazing. It's still amazing. I play it all the time. I mean, I still do play Days of Wine and Roses, Rain Parade's first 2 records. I mean, Gun Club, Fire of Love. I mean, all the time. Sonic Youth for me.
Yeah.
Bad Moon Rising. I mean, I still play that stuff all the time. It's still really, really good. And still.
It always cracks me up when people say they're having an 80s party and then they list the songs, and I'm like, no.
Wrong. Yeah. What 80s were you living in, man? Yeah.
we were living in the wrong 80s because, like, I have Sirius XM and I listen to Sirius Radio all the time, and like why aren't you playing more post-punk? Or it's like it wasn't all about like ABC and the Smiths. I mean, Morrissey, like every or The Cure, like every freaking hour. It's like,
I think that is truly what the underground is. Oh, this beautiful. It's great that we're a part of it. I remember trying to explain that to my family when they would be like, "What are you doing, with your life?" And I'm like, "I make music in the underground."
Yeah, you're gonna finish college, aren't you? It's like, well, maybe, maybe.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
When Ronnie, Soraya, and I first started talking about reaching out to you guys, Ronnie mentioned that this record, he said this is one of the biggest seminal records he felt from this scene, and he could not understand how come it wasn't bigger than it actually is because of how important it is to Ronnie mentioned that to us. So
thank you, Ronnie.
I've never stopped playing this record. I mean, 25 Pills is equal to Tell Me When It's Over, or better than Tell Me When It's Over, all the big.
I don't know about that.
I mean, seriously, it's every time I play it, it's magic, and it's been what, 35 years now. So thanks to these two for including me. I'm crashing their thing here. But I appreciate it. It's an honor to and to see all you guys together. And yeah, you're all wonderful.
And
So-
I'm really excited that Ronnie's going to be producing the reunion record.
Well, yeah,
Reunion
I've seen the Muffs enough times live that I feel like we're family.
Oh
I've
my
had-
God.
Oh, you have? Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
I never assume anybody's heard of us. So thank you, Mike. I
Oh.
Yeah.
appreciate that.
No
But,
way.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did-
I'm gonna start making phone calls. I'm managing you guys now, so I'm gonna
Alright.
start making phone calls. tomorrow.
perfect. Yeah,
As
but
long
you know,
as
our,
they're
Gotta get
Cole
Cole back.
manager, our
Dude,
manager
I'm-
has to wear a tie,
I'm
Ronnie.
so ready for anything that could happen.
Fair enough.
I'm coming out this
Yeah.
summer. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be in California this summer. I
Okay.
freaking
Okay.
hate my crook, and like, now I'm old enough where I can just like tell my job to fuck off, and I'm coming out for however long I need to. So
Nice.
Well, and it's up to Barbara because
I'm in Sacramento a lot too. So
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Cole. So yeah, whenever.
I'm unemployed.
what? Oh well, you're a teacher, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, I got let go because of social justice.
Oh, yeah.
I was giving social
Mm.
justice lessons that were not welcome.
Mm.
Oh.
Aw.
Yeah. So not easy to find a teaching job right now, but yeah. So I would say it was quite open,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I did get a little gig. Somebody from Palo Alto is paying me to write some songs about math, and so I'm doing that for a short gig. It's quite temporary, but something quite fun. Nice to get paid like that.
So Barbara, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So if I sent you something,
Hmm.
that song that I would like you to lyrics on,
Yes.
could you do that?
Yes.
I mean,
I have to ask sweetly to my husband because he's
Yes.
in charge of the engineering part of it. But yeah, he loves it. We were doing for several weeks there. I was recording covers and posting them on Bandcamp for free.
Yeah.
And I was doing
appreciate
that I was doing that kind of out of intense desperation because I really needed to play and sing and I needed a purpose. But we really got into sort of a groove with that and it was fun. So yeah.
okay, I'll be in touch.
Okay. PM me, man.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I have 4 drum kits in a
Yeah.
bedroom, so I'm ready
And
to
only
roll.
2 hands.
Yeah, and only 2 hands. Yeah, it's
It'll be like riding a bike. It'll be like riding a bike.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I'm ready. Well, it sounds like so Ronnie, you're on.
Yeah.
DM me for organizational help, and it sounds like we're gonna get rolling here.
Mike,
Perfect.
do you have time, dude?
I'll be in touch.
I know Mike is killing it in Mexico right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's still happening, right? I mean, dude.
What
Yeah,
about
I-
Mexico?
I go back and forth.
Yeah.
I have a record label headquartered in Mexico City.
Yep.
Oh.
And it's
Yeah.
killing it, I think. Mike,
Yeah, we did 20 records last year.
yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, we're a little
You
busy.
should ask him about this.
Yeah. This is a whole different podcast.
It probably is, actually.
Yeah. So we have an outlet. So yeah, the mechanism's in place. I know a guy who knows a guy. So yeah.
You are a guy. It sounds like.
And you are a guy. So it all.
Yeah, perfect. See, so we have the label, we have a manager. and,
Wow.
Yeah, we have a marketing guy, Jeff.
20 records in 2020, Mike. That's amazing.
That
Yeah.
is.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
because it was not a conducive year for that, as we all know.
no, I'm
So-
I'm stubborn. And I just love music.
What?
so-
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, for me, this was very exciting to have the 3 of you on talking about this. And obviously, as Ronnie has mentioned, it's obvious that you guys still have this connection between you. And we've been joking about this reunion, but I honestly hope that you guys could do something like that because the music that you have released, as Ronnie mentioned, is extremely influential. And both of us, all 3 of us, Soraya included, we still listen to it regularly. So this music that you guys recorded 35 years ago, even if it was contentious with Russ and Barbara arguing, screaming, yelling. Ah! So Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking about this music. And I hope this is not the end of the story for 28th Day.
I really
I
do.
don't think
too.
Please.
I mean, my
Yeah.
team. I mean, I'm over here in North Carolina. I mean,
For now.
you guys are all so much.
Get the hell out of there.
I'm trying to work my way back so much. I want to be there. I would really, really, honestly love to play with Mike and Barbara again.
Okay, well, it's summer,
in any
so we're
way
gonna do
possible.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Summer is right around the corner.
it is.
So-
It is
It
right
is.
around the corner. And me and Mike, we talked last summer, and like, then all this shit happened, and
Right.
there's other stuff going on with other bands and stuff, but there's a place in my heart that will never ever be replaced by 28th Day. I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
my whole trajectory in life was formed by my days in 28th Day.
Yeah.
For sure. It would have been
Right.
very, very different if I had never met Barbara and Cole and took this adventure. It would have been a very different life for me and stuff. And you know that when you get older and you start working like straight jobs, and people will tell you these stories and like, oh, it was the greatest day of like, it's like, dude, that was Tuesday night every fucking Tuesday for like 5 years in Chico. Your greatest day ever was like my Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I owe a lot to Barbara and Cole for sure.
Yeah.
Without a
Excellent.
doubt.
Me too.
So, Soraya, any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Loving all of this, and I want this to happen. Whether the record label in Mexico City, which, by the way, do you want to plug it, Mike?
It's just Devil in the Woods .mx. Yeah, there you go.
There you go, the FA in the house.
Yeah.
But Ronnie did the work. Cole's got a song. Barbara's involved. Come on, let's just make it happen. You guys are fantastic. The music is timeless, and we can't wait to hear more.
It's still there. I know too. I know Barbara's writing shit. I know I am. Mike is working hard, doing what he's doing. I know the magic is still there, and that's all I have to say.
Excellent. That's a great way to end this.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for giving a shit about 28th Day. I really appreciate it. I really.
Yeah, this has been great. It's good to see everybody and nice to meet you guys and stuff. And yeah, it's really, really cool. Ronnie,
Dream come
Thanks for
true, you guys.
mentioning my dad.
Yeah.
He was very.
Yeah, and
I
Mike,
met him.
Mike-
I met him. I drove down to Mexico and we drank so much fucking tequila, whatever drinks we drank, Barbara. Oh my God. And then we didn't want to take the toll road back. So we drove along the cliffs of Mexico, drunker than hell with Barbara's dad.
My dad saw
Wow.
Minimal Man with 28th Day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
We
What a
could talk
trooper.
for hours. We could talk all night. I know we could.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
we'll make that plan too. We'll have the grand night in Los Angeles.
Viva.
Invite us
Nice.
back, please do. Love you guys.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank
on.
you
We really
so much.
appreciate it.
Ronnie,
Have a
let's
good
talk.
night.
Yes. Yeah. I got that record for you.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
And then Mike, I
Yeah.
just want to say, Mike, if you'd come up to me at one of those Muffs gigs and said, I'm Mike Cloward from 28th Day, I would have freaked the fuck out. I would have freaked out. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah,
I was right in front of you and at Fingerprints watching you guys play not too long ago.
Oh, you were, oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, again, I would have,
and I was right in front
I
of
don't see
you
so
at the
well,
bottom
so I
of the. I was at a I think it was Noise Pop. I can't remember what year. I was right in front of you at the
Oh.
bottom of the hill. I'm pretty sure it's the bottom of the hill.
with the fastbacks.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was the first time I
Yeah.
saw you guys.
Yeah.
Back
Okay.
to
Yeah.
the bottom of the
Wow.
hill. Absolutely.
I didn't mean to turn this on to me here, but thanks, you guys.
Oh no, that's her.
I'm blown
That's her
away.
pothead.
Yeah, no.
For sure.
Cool.
Aw,
All right,
All
guys.
right.
all right.
Thanks so
Hey,
much.
guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
All right.
Jeff.
Bye, from
Okay.
Florida.
See you guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Jeff and Soraya, be nice. This
Of
is where they
course.
talk shit about us.
Always.
Call.
Good night. Night to
Good
you.
night. Oh, Soraya. How
That quote of the night. Pure magic.
pure magic.
Pure magic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The synergy of these three people. I just can't. How many years removed are we from the first release? What, 85?
35 years.
Bloody hell. And I'm sorry, people, if you've never ever listened to a 28th Day song, you need to get it. The compilation that Jeff's talking about, Strum and Thumb, we've talked about it. Did I just butcher the name?
Strum and Thrum.
Strum and Thrum.
Yeah.
That compilation was released in 2020, 28 days on it, but the complete recordings is out. That was released in 2013.
Was it 2013? 2003. Okay.
And not a bum song on it. That's why I found it so funny that Barbara talked about the last track,
Yeah.
Life Story, and she said, well, it was a sound check and I never expected it to be recorded and I don't particularly like it, and there it is. Yeah, you need to hear their music because Ronnie's right. This band should have blown up and didn't. I mean, there were places where they had a strong following.
Yeah.
But look at these three individuals, and there's a lot of love and energy and respect, and obviously unheard material.
Yeah.
Look at how many things they talked about. We've got this initial release that there are two different versions, a US release and a European release. And then we've got the complete recordings. And then there's this, I want to track down this Brown album.
Yeah.
That Barbara was talking about on Skyclad, because she said there's a number of things on there. Didn't sound like, it sounded like that album was really the catalyst, like, hey, give us our rights back and we'll do something different. And then Cole mentioned, sorry, I got to go back to my this tape. And I think I got the title wrong, 28 songs for 28 days.
Yeah, that's what he mentioned.
Yeah, and they said that American Fast Cars is on it, which hasn't been, hasn't been heard. And was it Chances Become Electric?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, I want to hear these.
Yeah.
I want to hear this stuff. But more than anything, Jeff, I absolutely am fascinated with the fact that they still want to keep working together and got Ronnie involved. And I'm like, I'm here for all of it. We're here to coordinate it. Yes, okay. Keep talking. Don't end the call. Just talk. And I love that Mike said, okay, we're gonna talk. Ronnie, DM, da, da, da. I'm like, yes. Are you happy? You gotta be flying at this moment.
You know I am. So I was just wondering, is this really gonna happen or is this just fun talk?
Let me tell you, the sense that I got is that this wasn't bullshit. That this was real. And the fact that Mike said, okay, Ronnie, we're gonna talk. And that Cole told Barbara, I've got a song, I want lyrics.
Yes.
This isn't done.
Yeah.
28 days not done.
I did want to mention that they've all three gone on to do other projects and released other stuff. We didn't want to address that because our focus wanted to be on the 28th day, but they've all done other projects, released other albums,
So for example, let's give our listeners a little idea.
Yeah, so Barbara was talking about her when she moved to San Francisco, and she did stuff with a band called SF Seals.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cole's put out some stuff. I forgot what the name of his band was. The Snowmen, I think was the name of it.
Yeah.
And then Mike's done this, got his record label that he was talking about based out of Mexico City. And he mentioned to us when we were planning this that he moves back and forth and spends a lot of time in Mexico City too. So there's a lot of other music that they've put out, but as a unit, 28th day, and incredible stuff too. So
I loved all the stories. See, my cat really enjoyed the stories too. I loved all the stories. And I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more. And when they get this next series of songs together, because I have full faith that they will, we're going to have them back on.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right, Jeff.
Oh, so they were called the Snowmen. It
Right.
was one of his bands. Then Barbara mentioned Sunbirds, which happened right after 28th Day, almost like he had something going on while they were a band.
Yeah.
And then I would be remiss not to mention the Downsiders, who were on this label that one of my favorite bands, the Connells, were on, called Black Park Records. So Downsiders was another band. So plenty of projects. And I think Cole was right when he mentioned that when Barbara released her Lately I Keep Scissors record, which is incredible. Another one that I love is One Perfect Green Blanket. She's got all kinds of stuff that she's been involved with. Again, SF Seals, and she had a band called the Go Luckies, all kinds of stuff. So, but we wanted to focus in on the 28th Day stuff. So,
you know, and one of the things that I remarked to you, I find the songwriting to be really good, and the vocals are great on these songs. And that's why I thought it was really interesting that when they were talking about the genesis of the band, they said the songwriting vibe was key.
yes.
And you hear it. I mean, these are songs that, what was it that Barbara was saying at the end? Like when they were mixing, that she wasn't part of some of the mixing, and then things sounded really reverby. And she said, "Oh, this is like so 80s." But and I think that's some of people, a music listener's question is, could music made in the 80s, mid 80s, really sound contemporary, really sound like it fits, with this time? Because some 80s music sounds super dated, right?
Yes.
Theirs doesn't. And I really think it's, even though the three of definitely Cole down and Mike kind of downplayed their musical abilities, and Barbara said, "Oh no, you guys were great." I think it's because of how they played their instruments, but I really think it's because of the songwriting, the value of the songwriting. And it seems like they all fit together really well and kind of connect and are able to construct songs that are solid and hold over time. That's my impression as when I listen to it. And like I was telling Jeff that right now I've been playing a lot Dead Center, and that song it's on the complete recordings, but it's a fantastic song. But Dead Center is just one. There are so many. Plus, there's that one of the instrumentals that was just numbered as they were working the way. Yeah.
Instrumental number 1.
Instrumental number 1. But and then I loved Barbara's quote at the very end when she had to when she was explaining to her family, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I make music in the underground."
Yes.
I make music in the underground. Hell yes.
Yes.
So I think, you and I have talked a lot about what comprises kind of the Paisley Underground world, right? The orbit of the Paisley Underground. And we've talked about the core, and then we've started talking about, associated or parallel movements and scenes. And I mean, 28th Day is 100%, part of this. They make music in the underground. They're definitely part of this underground universe that you and I talk about a lot, and what really makes it a part of it. And look at, the bands that they knew, played with, and were contemporaries of, Long Riders, 3 O'Clock, Rain Parade, Thin White Rope, If and Why, 1 and 1. I mean, there's a lot more to this scene. And I think one thing is to recognize what the core of the scene of Paisley Underground is. And, Danny Benair did a fantastic job of defining that for us a long time ago. And then you have to say, okay, but within that, once we start kind of expanding our view, there are a lot of other bands that were kind of circulating in the same universe. And again, we go back to they all had good relationships with one another. They played shows together. And then like, think about that show and the fact that Cole said that there's a tape of it. I'm like, I need that.
Yeah.
Give me it was a Raji show with with Plastic Land and Dead Milkman
Yes.
in 28th Day. I want that tape.
Yeah. I want to be at that show.
Dang. I want that tape. I don't know who out there, a listener, has it, because I know somebody's got it. Now we got to go back to Cole, because Cole apparently has a bunch of tapes. But I'm telling you, you will not regret listening to 28th Day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
and this was awesome to have all three of them.
Yes.
Dude, you're the man.
Well, I think Cole owes me a copy of that tape because I found him a new reissue producer. So I think
I think that's a fair exchange.
Yeah, no, but in all honesty, yes, it was so amazing to have all three of them on because all three of them painted a picture that I don't think we would have had if we did not have all three. And I mean, in a trio, each member becomes that much more important because there's only three members in there, and each one of these three were key members of this band. I mean, Mike started the band
right
before even Cole and Barbara were involved, but it was amazing to have all three, and we always love having Ronnie, and Ronnie is able to.
Ronnie, can he be just any better than what he is? I love having him on, and
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we were able to help him, get to talk with a band that he appreciates and loves so much too.
We're not the only fangirls.
No, Ronnie Barnett is fangirl extraordinaire.
Agreed.
Yeah. Holy moly, man. I'm telling you, this was a pretty terrible day when it started.
Yeah.
But man,
it got much better.
Got much better. And I got to thank Cole, Mike, and Barbara for that.
Absolutely.
And of course, Ronnie Barnett.
Of course.
And just remember, pure magic. All right, mi gente, a groovear.
Groove on, Paisley people.
Russ Tolman's fired.
Yeah, Russ Tolman's fired.